unapologetically as individuals and collectively, dreaming a new dream, and bringing lasting change. So going forward into our Mindful Monday meditation, today I'd like for you to open your heart to healing, to get still and quiet with me for a moment and connect to wisdom. Quiet your mind and go within, trusting the power we have to change our minds, to change everything. Bring your hands to your heart and breathe. Feel your heartbeat. Breathe. And now listen. Listen and feel what your heart is saying. Just breathe and let go of the pain and deliver that pain to universal wisdom, the divine essence of your soul. Let your mind and body trust the truth within your heart right here, right now. Breathe and let go. Breathe and release. And with each exhalation, let go, let God. With each inhalation, call on the power of divine wholeness. Call on your ancestors. Call on the Most High. And just breathe. Feel your heartbeat. Connect to that wisdom within. That wisdom that transcends all illusions. That wisdom that allows us to navigate to our wholeness. Take a big breath. Hold that breath. And as you exhale, listen to the truth of your soul. Listen to your wholeness. Now just breathe and give yourself permission to move past loss, move past pain, move past this illusion that's in front of us, but be present right now in this moment and just breathe. Breathe and release. Breathe, relax. Now inhale, ready to embrace divine transformation, leveling up to wholeness, leveling up to your greatness, and knowing the power you have to be the change agent in this moment with all the divine celestial energies bringing forth transformation gracefully. Just breathe and relax. Let go and relax and center yourself and feel your heartbeat. Feel the grace within you. Now inhale. Inhaling, visualize positive change supported by the abundance we all seek. Exhale and listen with your heart open, empowered to self-love. Relaxing and being here now on purpose to embrace your dreams of change. Just breathe, relax, feel your heartbeat, centered, and feel grounded. Now take a breath. And inhaling, open the space to shift any stagnation that's impeding your wholeness. And as you exhale, make a promise to yourself to be unapologetic and stand in your purpose, believing all things are possible. Now just breathe, relax, quieting your mind to receive our Mindful Monday affirmation. Today, I embrace my divine purpose, unfolding truth and wholeness in my life here and now. Today, I embrace my divine purpose, unfolding truth and wholeness in my life here and now. Relax, breathe, bringing your awareness back to present time, giving yourself permission to embrace your divine purpose and unfolding truth and wholeness as you boldly step into your power as a collective, as we stand together as a collective and opening ourselves to the highest good to unfold with grace and ease. I thank you, Dominique, to have a smiling Miles in the 1580 KBLA family. I don't know, I always do that. KBLA family. Have an unapologetic, mindfully blessed week, and keep praying, keep dreaming, and most of all, be more than survivors. Be change agents. Be like King and have a dream. Know we are warriors of change, armed with truth, standing with our ancestors and standing on their shoulders, ready to rebuild a new life, a new planet, a new state of consciousness. We are not victims. We are more powerful than we allow ourselves to be, and don't stop dreaming.
And I'm going to ask you real quick because Just want to touch on it. I know Miles was talking about this parade of planets. Can you give us just a very brief understanding of what that is?
The parade of planets is opening a vortex so that we can truly, energetically, emotionally, and physically align in collective consciousness. And this energy is setting up a frequency so that we will no longer allow ourselves to deny our power to manifest. You know, we have to think about what we want, not what we don't want, and put in action and raise our frequency to match that which we are claiming. We want a peaceful planet. We want better politics. We want change, and change is happening. It's inevitable that everything changes. However, this parade of planets sets up a magnetic force field that energetically affects our nervous system and opens the space for us to have a different perspective. And if you meditate and pray, and if you ask for guidance, you shall be delivered. It's a time and space for everything, and everything takes time and space to manifest. But we have to hold that space for the collective awareness that we all know is possible. And so the Parade of Planets is ushering all of that in.
Saharah Ali, thank you so much. As always, thank you for your words and your wisdom and all the things that you do to keep us in alignment.
Thank you, Dominique, and thank you, KBLA family, and love you, Miles. Thank you for your wisdom every week, challenging me.
You can find Saharah Ali at saharahali.com if you want to catch up to a sound bath or a yoga class. If you'd like to get an appointment with her, call her assistant Elise at 213-628-9783, 213-628-9783. It's a perfect time to call me. We are KBLA Talk 1580.
Claiming her time on KBLA Talk 1580. More First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward. To our beloved greater Los Angeles community affected by the devastating wildfires, we stand with you. From all of us at KBLA Talk 1580, our hearts go out to those who've lost loved ones, homes, businesses, belongings, and precious memories. In these challenging times, we're here to keep you informed and connected. For the latest updates, resources, and ways to help your neighbors in need, stay tuned to KBLA Talk 1580. Together, we'll rebuild. Together, we'll recover. Together, we are Los Angeles strong. KBLA Talk 1580. Your voice, your community, your station.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
It's been said that when someone you love has Parkinson's, you have Parkinson's.
The Parkinson's Foundation knows that the disease doesn't just affect the diagnosed. It affects everyone who supports and helps care for them.
If you have questions, the Parkinson's Foundation has answers.
We can help you understand the disease
and give you tips for living a better life.
Find your answers at parkinson.org or call 1-800-473-4636. The Parkinson's Foundation. Better lives together.
This is for all the folks who appreciate follow-through. Here's a quick recap of the KBLA Talk 1580 2024 Climate Justice Campaign. More than 6.4 million Southern Californians viewed our climate justice billboards and bus shelters. Another 1.5 million people listened to and or downloaded our weekly conversations with African American climate experts. Our KBLA Climate Justice web portal had 2.8 million unique visitors. Thousands more attended our 7 climate justice community events. More than 9.3 million riders saw our climate care messaging on metro buses and trains. And 39 million Americans accessed our C-SPAN Climate Justice Symposium. All told, Our 2024 climate justice campaign exceeded 471 million total impressions. KBLA Talk 1580 thanks all of our 2024 climate justice partners: LADWP, Metro, Caltrans, Sierra Club, California Community Foundation, the California Endowment, LA City Council member Curran D. Price Jr., the California Wellness Foundation, MWD, AQMD, and the Port of Los Angeles. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580. The conversation continues right now with Dominique DiPrima on First Things First.
It does, and it is a great day and a sad day in America. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. It is the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., ironically, a man who fought for working class people, for jobs, fought against violence and war, but also for freedom for Black Americans. And this is the day we observe his birthday. His parade has been moved here in LA to President's Day because of the terrible fires, but we still celebrate him. Meanwhile, we are literally moments away from the inauguration of President Donald J. Trump. It's hard for me to even say it. As the 47th president, the limos are pulling up to the inauguration as we speak, and the former presidents, are making their way into Capitol Hill, into the space, the indoor space. Man, I wish it would have been indoors when I went to see Obama get inaugurated. It was cold. Anyway, let's go to Shayon calling us from Long Beach. Good morning, Shayon.
Hey, good morning. You ready for your big homeboy to take office?
Oh, my big homeboy. What are you saying, Shayon? I have bad hair. I don't read. I'm on Ozempic. I married a supermodel. No, it couldn't be that. What's your point?
Well,
hey, because I'm a Gemini. It's a shameful day for Gemini. Oh, you really?
I'm a Gemini.
No wonder you talk so good.
Sometimes you got to laugh to keep from crying, right?
Right. All the time. That's what I do.
Well, I just want to wish everybody a happy Martin Luther King Day, and hopefully we'll have some good celebrations out there. People get together with family and friends and try to forget about the what's going to take place the rest of the day. I ain't going to even say it. I'm going to just let y'all already know what I'm talking about. But hopefully, King Day would take precedent, and we can have a good day. I wish I could have got on with Gerald Horn. I'm going to say this, and I got to go. Appreciate you taking the call. Yesterday I was watching Face the Nation, and Lindsey Graham was on. And he was starting to allude, very strongly, that the new Trump administration might attack Iran. He alluded to it very strongly, and then when she tried to press him about it, he started to do the filibuster and, do the thing that they do when they don't want to answer. They'll throw something out there, then when you press them on it, to keep from answering it directly, they filibuster and get to talk about how, the news need to do this. But he said it in a way that you could bet something is brewing, or else he just by his whole demeanor and the way he said it. Something's going on. Something's going to be going on with Iran and the Trump administration, where it's a possibility they could attack Iran.
I mean, with all those hawks there, and the bomb Iran has been a refrain with his circle for years. So it wouldn't surprise me. It would be terrible. It would be a terrible expansion of what's going on in the region, but I could see it. Yeah, you're right. We need Dr. Gerald Horn's thoughts on that. But we'll ask him next time he comes on, if they haven't attacked by then.
Okay, Dominique, I know you got a lot of calls. I appreciate you taking the call. You guys have a good day. Appreciate you.
A good day. We shall have a good day because we are above ground, 10 toes down, living, breathing. And look, we even have a Black-owned radio station. Praise God. So, yeah, we have a platform where we get to say what we want to say, do what we want to do. And I appreciate you. We're going to Carl calling us from L.A. Good morning, Carl.
Good morning, Dominique. How you doing?
I'm blessed. How are you?
I'm great. You know what they say, fist in the air, extend your arms to Martin Luther King being on the front line with no weapon and no bulletproof vest. I mean, he was on the front line. That was a pretty amazing thing. He's out there with no weapon and no bulletproof vest. But hey, look, Dominique, what do you think about this Marshall Plan with the National Guard being around? You think that they're going to be here for a long term and buy some houses and turn into LAPD
Okay, you're doing the same
and
thing that someone else did last week. A Marshall Plan is not the same as martial law. Okay?
Yeah, well, if I made a mistake, I'm sorry.
No, the reason I say that is because you put martial plan and National Guard in the same sentence, which makes it seem like martial law. It is wild to have the National Guard marching in our state, in our county. I was in, we broadcast on Thursday from Altadena, Pasadena, and I was out spending time with the prisoners who are firefighters. Got to talk with them, and the National Guard was walking around with their long guns. And I must say I'm not used to it. But if it was martial, and we do have a curfew, but if it was martial law, our rights would be suspended in much more significant ways. What the governor said is that he had a Marshall Plan. He was creating a Marshall Plan that refers to the rebuilding of Europe after the war, and where the United States gave a bunch of money and created a plan for the rebuilding of Europe. And that's what that's what he was referring to when he said Marshall Plan. He didn't mean martial law.
Yeah, and most of them carry sidearms too, so most of them are MPs. So I was hearing somebody talking about a no nation police nation. And, that would give them a good opportunity to buy some homes up there and with the GI Bill and end up becoming deputies and LAPD officers. And, I don't know if they're going to build a bunch of apartments up there. And then, there you go. People from, overseas war-torn countries will be popping up here. So I wanted to ask Dr. Horn about that and see if he had any questions, because I still think they're going to chop up down California in three pieces. It looks like that to me. I don't know. Maybe Dr.
What are the
Horn
three
knows.
pieces? What are the three pieces, Carl?
Well, one piece from Los Angeles down to San Diego, another piece at Sacramento, and another piece up northern by Eureka, California. I mean, he was saying that they were looking for somebody probably to be in charge over the mayor.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, okay, but what he was talking about was L.A. County. He wasn't talking about statewide over the mayor. The governor's already over all of the mayors. In L.A. County, you all, because I voted against it, just voted to have a county CEO elected by the voters who would be over the entire county operations and have control of the county purse strings, which is actually pretty, I think, alarming right now. We have a county CEO who reports to the Board of Supervisors and who is an employee who's hired by us. But now we're talking about creating another role. I wasn't aware that Rick Caruso was thinking of looking at that role. As Dr. Horn said, that would be weird. That would be a trip, because he would be able to, in some ways, stymie the mayor's agenda, although the city has a separate budget. Mayor Bass has been really a proponent of working in concert with the county, and that's part of the reason why we're seeing the kind of results that we are starting to see with the reduction of houselessness in the city of Los Angeles. Of course, not to the levels we would like, but certainly we're starting to see some movement for the first time. So we'll see how that goes. As far as splitting up the state of California, I know there are folks who want to do it, just as the Valley has tried to secede from the city of Los Angeles. It's always wealthy and or white folks who are trying to gerrymander our state so they can have their own. The problem is that they would be poor because the places where we live are where most of the money is generated from, right? San Francisco, Los Angeles, those coastal cities. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. But, I see that desire kind of welling up every 5 to 10 years. I do think that this state is bipolar. I always say that. You've got some very conservative voters in the interior and down in Orange County, but we still have a super majority of Democrats in the state legislature, though your concerns are well warranted when it comes to the attacks on our mayor and the sort of clawback that these folks try to do. And now we have very conservative District Attorney Nathan Hochman here in Los Angeles, who's running around crowing about how he's arresting people for curfew violations, as if that was some kind of thing that we should all feel good about. That would keep us safe. More than likely, those are people trying to sneak back and look at their homes in the fires. Not a safe thing to do, not something I'm advocating because it's not safe, but certainly not something to be crowing about arresting people for such a minor violation as that. It is a strange time, Carl, but the National Guard at this time is keeping people out of those areas that are not deemed safe to go into, and that is their main role in assisting the state. They're not marching through our neighborhoods throughout the cities and restricting your rights in other ways. So I think the idea that we're in martial law is unwarranted at this time. Anyway, I appreciate your call always, Carl, and certainly it is a time to pay attention because people are feeling emboldened, right? Those conservatives, those MAGA folks, even the folks that pretended not to be MAGA are now coming out of their bag because the election of the 45th president as 47th president, purported election, I should say, he's about to get sworn in, so it's real. And they are feeling their flex right now. So I would keep my eyes open and just be careful, but also be ready to fight. News, traffic, and sports. And then I'm taking your phone calls for sure. And I have a special guest coming up. KBLA Talk 1580.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. President Biden was in South Carolina on his last full day in office to thank voters. He visited the Royal Missionary Baptist Church and attended an event at the International African American Museum with Representative James Clyburn. Mayor Karen Bass announced that rebuilding efforts will start once Southern California wildfires are contained. Bass spoke on Friday afternoon where she said she believes authorities are turning a corner on recovery efforts. Mayor Eric Adams announced that 35,000 New Yorkers are having their medical debt eliminated. This is part of an $80 million program to wipe out over $2 billion in medical debt for 500,000 residents, focusing on the uninsured and low-income households. And Nelly is set to perform at the Liberty Ball on Inauguration Day. The Liberty Ball will take place after the swearing-in of President-elect Donald Trump today. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Shop limited-time deals during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Valid 1/13 through 1/24 while supplies last.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The road to the Super Bowl for the Rams ended in Philadelphia. The Eagles hung on for a 28-22 win. Had the Rams won, they would have hosted the NFC Championship game next Sunday at SoFi against Magic Johnson's Washington Commanders. Last night, the Lakers played their first game in the Intuit Dome in Inglewood. The Clippers beat the Lakers 116-102. fourth straight win for the Clippers, 21 points and 19 rebounds for Vika Zubac. The winning streak for USC's women's basketball team is now at 13. They pulled out a 73-66 win Sunday at Indiana, 22 points for USC star Juju Watkins. Tonight in Atlanta, a potential history-making moment. Notre Dame and Ohio State are meeting up for the College Football National Championship. Notre Dame coach Marcus Freeman is on the doorstep of becoming the first African-American coach to win a Division I national title in football. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
The smarter way to clean your floors. It's time to make the swap. Swiffer Power Mop.
Introducing the new Swiffer Power Mop, the all-in-one tool that gives you a mop and bucket clean in half the time. The solution's built right in, so no heavy bucket, and the pad has hundreds of scrubbing strips to get deep into grout. Don't mop harder, mop smarter.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
Yes, we are. And look, there's a shindig, you could call it that. It's sort of an alternative to the King Day Parade or an alternative to the inauguration, however you want to look at it today at BLMLA's Center for Black Power. It's right there on Crenshaw and 43rd Place where the Lamert Park train station is, right next door to it. It's BLMLA's Center for Black Power. They're having panel discussions. It's called Being Prepared for Fires and Fascism. And they're having panel discussions. They're having free dinner for all who attend. They are having information, all kinds of things you can arm yourself with so you can feel ready for what Dr. Gerald Horne just dubbed a new era. Okay, so I'll be there and hope to see you there. It starts at 4, goes till 8. It's a nice long time. You can drop by for part of it or all of it, whatever suits your fancy, and have some community fellowship. On this day, going to Big Phil, calling us from L.A. Good morning, Big Phil.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Devil don't sleep. Oh, my goodness. And people losing their homes. I mean, it's a blessing we own. That's what we got. You know, I own duplex by the stadium. And they've been calling me, and I tell them, I don't know how you get your number, but please tell your friends to watch the movie called Guess Who's Coming to Dinner? I'm Mr. Tibbs, okay? So just come on down, and we're going to enjoy ourselves. I just hate they took the insurance, pulling out, and State Farm. They're not a good neighbor.
You're right.
They're not a good neighbor.
They are not a good neighbor.
Okay?
They're the neighbor that parks in your driveway and takes your stuff.
There
Yeah.
you go. There you go. That's a bunch of bull. And then FEMA, please. People still waiting to get housing on New Orleans, okay? But anyway, we're going to pray for the ones that are out there, that lost everything, that can't replace their homes anymore. It's just sad. So thank God we got what we got. And we're going to keep it moving. We're going to pray for the one. And Donald Trump with his $13 billion buddies up there, the good old boys. I care less about it, to be honest with you. They're trying to control the world. I'm going to let God handle that. Right now, focus on your family and your son and trying to enjoy your life and less stress in your life, okay? So you guys take care of the land and be safe. I'm out, Big Phil.
All right, Big Phil. I mean, I think that's great advice for all of us. We could just take care of ourselves and our families and pay attention. It is still Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday. There's nothing they can do about that. There's nothing they can do about your thriving family or your own activism and consciousness. So I think that's good advice, Big Phil. And the only thing I'll push back on is, although FEMA is not perfect, and certainly under George W. Bush, who was in charge when Katrina hit, it was terrible what happened. FEMA is on the ground right now in Los Angeles, and especially if you don't have insurance, like many homeowners in the Altadena region, because they inherited their homes from their parents or grandparents. FEMA is what you got. So you've got to register with FEMA. And there are centers. I know that, for example, Pasadena City College has a FEMA helper on campus during the week to help you file your paperwork or whatever you need to do. I did learn at our own broadcasts. I learned so much. We did a broadcast from Altadena, Pasadena last Thursday. If you missed it, you can still hear the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And the video stream of it is up on the Spot Live on YouTube. It's not on our usual KBLA because we were remote, and my friend Ross Jordan from On the Spot Live volunteered to stream for us, so you can find it there. I would suggest you look at it because there's a lot of good information on there, but one of the things I learned is the first thing you have to do is call your mortgage company. And it turns out Jeff Davis was right. They have said that once you contact your mortgage company, if you've been impacted by the fires, they will give you 90 days with no penalties and no mortgage payment due, 90 days to get it together. So contacting the mortgage company is first, so they can suspend your payments. And also, if you have insurance, they will notify the insurance company and trigger that chain of events. If you don't have insurance, you must reach out to FEMA. You must reach out to FEMA ASAP and not get caught up in the fact that they're not perfect, because it's what you got. If you have no insurance, FEMA and GoFundMe, community organizing, and pressure on state government to help those in need, that's what we have. Being joined right now, he's checking in with us briefly on this day when everybody disappeared and other wonderful folks appeared. He's a human rights lawyer and author, activist, attorney, a member of the Democratic Party, but also he is well, he is a critic of it as well. Qasim Rashid, welcome. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me back. How are you?
Well, I am laughing to keep from crying right now. How are you?
I was talking about this last night with my audience on Substack that it seems hopeless, and in some respects, it's easy to despair and lose hope. But this is where I think about the wisdom of James Baldwin when he was asked this very question: that how do you keep from despairing? And he said, "I've never despaired. I've been angry. I've been enraged, but I can't tell my children that there's no hope. You can't be hopeless." And so for me, it's about remembering that, reflecting on that, and continuing to build as best we can.
Yeah, I saw on your X, and you're still up there on Twitter X. I am too, but I see they're just attacking you and calling you all kinds of libtards and stuff, and you don't seem fazed by that at all.
It's one of those things where we have to recognize there's going to be certain people that we can't influence or impact, and rather than wasting our time and energy and breath on them, focus on organizing and activating the folks who are genuine and committed. I had somebody reach out to me just a couple of days ago who said that they followed me on the advice of a friend who is their leftist friend, and they said they followed only because the friend asked them to, expecting to rip apart my arguments and points of view, but they said that because they started reading, they've changed their perspective. And so I take hope in that, but broader than that, I think there are so many folks who are looking for a path forward that actually is built on humanity, on compassion. And I think one of the examples I think about, kind of a left field observation right now, is look at the really strange solidarity, class solidarity, with the killing of the United Health CEO. And I posted that I don't sit here and promote violence or endorse what he did. It should give us pause when 90% of Americans were not upset about it. I think it shows that a lot of the struggles we're going through are economic struggles, class struggles. And if we stand united, of course, within the confines of due process of law and within peaceful resistance, we can accomplish a lot, but we need to be consistent and recognize that we're in this together.
Well, it's well said. And where I was actually going with that before I veered off and onto Twitter was that you started this day saluting Dr. Martin Luther King on the basis of his critique of our government as a purveyor of violence internationally.
Yeah, not just a purveyor of violence, but the greatest purveyor of violence. And this is a quote that I don't think many politicians are going to have the courage, the integrity, whatever word you want to use, to quote it. And just to briefly quote it, he's talking about the Vietnam War. He says that, quote, "I knew that I could never again raise my voice against the violence of the oppressed in the ghettos without first having spoken clearly to the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today, my own government. For the sake of those boys, for the sake of this government, for the sake of the hundreds of thousands trembling under our violence, I cannot be silent." And we say this on the footsteps of the U.S. government funding Netanyahu while he committed war crimes. He's been credibly accused of war crimes by the ICC and the ICJ and the UN, charged with genocide. It's ironic to see so many of these politicians in our government, Democrat and Republican, who overwhelmingly voted for unlimited weapons to bomb Palestinian children, now quoting Dr. King, on this day. The hypocrisy and the lack of self-awareness is astounding. But it also reminds us that when Dr. King was assassinated, he was one of the most hated men in America, with nearly 70% disapproving of his calls for peaceful resistance and his calls for meaningful change. I found a Gallup poll from 1963, that surveyed white people if they thought black people had equal rights in this country. And at a time of Jim Crow laws, of redlining, of the discriminatory GI Bill, of open discrimination in employment and education, 67% of white people said, yeah, black people have equal rights in this country. What are you talking about? And so it's, I quoted that today as a reminder that we've been here before. This is where we've been for a long, long time. And our forefathers, many of them have recently passed, like the great John Lewis, fought through it. And I think we can take wisdom from that and fight through it today as well.
We're talking with human rights attorney Qasim Rashid. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on this ceasefire deal that Trump was on TV yesterday, and his long droning on and on just make me want to jump off a bridge speech, taking credit for. I can't wait to hear your thoughts on that when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
More of First Things First with Dominique DiPrima when we come forward.
The first time I tried to quit vaping, I told myself that it was like a mountain that I had to climb over. And once I got to the other side, it would be clear. But I couldn't make it over. What really got me to quit was my little sister. I saw her vaping. So I was back in the mountain, but this time, she was up there with me. It's weird what you can do for others that you won't do for yourself.
Every attempt is part of your story to quit for good. Visit Kick It California today at kickitca.org.
I feel so alone.
I'm embarrassed to talk about it.
How can I help my kid if I can't help myself?
I can't remember when I wasn't stressed.
I don't like stress.
When you feel overwhelmed by your thoughts and emotions, it's okay to get help. You are not alone. CalHope is here for you with free, safe, and confidential mental health resources for youth, young adults, families, and you. Find support now at calhope.org.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With Venture X, earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy and turn everyday purchases into extraordinary trips. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges where you just check in and chill out. Open up a world of possibilities with Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
And we're talking with Qasim Rashid. He's a human rights attorney and so much more. I mean, looking at your bio, you've had so many jobs, but all of them sort of have a through line, or most all of them have a through line of human rights and showing up for justice. Talk to me about this deal. We saw the first hostages being released on yesterday. We saw widespread joy in Gaza, in some anxiety and anticipation in the West Bank. And then we saw Trump bragging about how this was all him. How do you see this?
This should have happened in October of 2023. This genocide didn't need to happen. Let me go back a couple of years. I remember the last time there was violence between Hamas and the Israeli government in May of 2021. I even have the tweet still up where I said that now that there's been a ceasefire, I'm happy. Now nothing is stopping the Israeli government from withdrawing its military occupation of Palestinian territories, of stopping its illegal blockade of Gaza, and of removing its hundreds of thousands of illegal settlements on Palestinian land. That's what a ceasefire should have done. What ended up happening is that the Israeli government built even more settlements, increased its blockade of Gaza, and Amnesty International and Defense of Children reports that in the year prior to October 7th was the deadliest year on record, with the Israeli government killing more than 200 Palestinian children, not even in Gaza, but in the West Bank. where there is no Hamas, by the way. And so all this to say that the war crimes Hamas committed on 10/7 were not the initiation of some war. And I want to be very clear about that. They were war crimes because they targeted civilians, and they were not the initiation of the violence. That violence had already been perpetuating. And what the hostage families tells us, that they were informed that Hamas had offered an unconditional ceasefire and release of all hostages on 10/8, and Netanyahu had outright rejected it. And what Biden now tells us is that a week afterwards, he went to Netanyahu and said, you cannot carpet bomb this entire region. And Netanyahu told him, that's exactly what I'm going to do. And Biden funded him anyway. To me, this is, confession of intent. And that's why I'm so pained by this, because we've now seen, by very conservative estimates, nearly 50,000 Palestinian civilians killed. Blinken, the Secretary of State, reports that Hamas has replenished its, the militants that it lost to near the same capacity as when the siege started. So that was unsuccessful. And now we're finally seeing that 8 trucks are entering Gaza. More than 600 have entered Gaza in the last 24 hours, which, by the way, prior to the siege ending, only 40 trucks a day were ending. That's what starvation as a weapon of war looks like. So while I'm grateful that this ceasefire has been enacted, I'm also hopeful and watching closely to make sure it remains enacted. And I want to emphasize that until and unless we have meaningful progress in the Israeli government removing its military occupation, and I think this is the part, by the way, and I'll close with this point, that most folks just do not understand. Israel has its country, the Palestinian people have their land, and the Israeli government is building settlements on Palestinian land. Imagine if China started to just commandeer certain parts of the United States and say, you know what, Vermont is ours now, Florida is ours now, we are taking it over and we are setting up a military occupation. I can't imagine a single American who'd be okay with that, but this is what's happening. And so for us to have ensuring and lasting peace of this ceasefire, we need to ensure that these settlements are removed, the military occupation is removed, and those responsible for these war crimes are prosecuted with due process of law before the ICC.
It seems like, though, when I look at the mass destruction of course, the targeting of civilians, but if you look at the mass destruction, the flattening of almost every hospital, every school.
That's right. That's right.
It seems like, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like Israel is planning to take Gaza and take the West Bank. It doesn't seem like they're planning to allow or respect the boundaries of a Palestinian territory, let alone a sovereign nation.
You're exactly right. And I've written on this on that human rights newsletter, Let's Address This with Qasim Rashid on Substack, where just citing quote after quote, policy initiative after policy initiative by the Israeli government that they intend to annex Palestinian land. They've been explicitly clear about this. They've been extraordinarily clear about this. You remember how there's this huge outrage over the phrase, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Mm-hmm. And they're saying that this phrase, from the river to the sea, is a genocidal statement. What's ironic about that is that phrase is in the charter of the Likud, the political party of Netanyahu. That's written into the charter from the river to the sea, that Israel will expand from the river to the sea. So how is it genocidal if one side says it but not the other side? The hypocrisy is just astounding. So I absolutely think you're right that this is what their intent is. It is to annex that land and to take it over. I've been to the occupied Palestinian territories. I've met with former Israeli soldiers who are now working to end the occupation. And what every one of them will tell you is that this is what the intent was all along. And I'll close with this point, too. You mentioned the hospitals. Last summer, the UN investigated all 110 hospitals and medical centers that the Israeli government has bombed and destroyed. And they asked the Israeli government to provide evidence that Hamas was in those hospitals, because that was their justification that they used. And do you know how many hospitals and medical centers the Israeli government was able to provide evidence that Hamas was hiding there?
I do not.
0. Not a single one. 0 times was the Israeli government able to say or cite any evidence whatsoever that Hamas was in those hospitals and that's why we bombed them. Bombing hospitals is a war crime. We have 110 examples of when they did this and still no accountability. This is why people are outraged, and this is why I say that for there to be meaningful and lasting peace, there absolutely needs to be accountability for those responsible for these war crimes.
Yeah, I'm not optimistic about what the administration of Donald Trump is planning to do there. The comments by Jared Kushner about the nice seaside property in Gaza and his his tendency to just follow the money. At the same time he's bragging about a peace deal, it's a little confusing. How do you read it?
Well, I think we take them at face value. They're trying to push out talking points to appease the masses when in reality they're working aggressively to destroy Gaza and to build settlements in the West Bank, to annex the land, to expand greater Israel. And Netanyahu has come to the UN with maps of Israel completely wiping out any Palestinian land whatsoever. So I think that part is clear. Look, I'll tell you this, and there's been a few other folks who talked about this. Sammy Obeid, Dave Chappelle talked about this, that losing your home is hard. From the Palisades to Palestine, losing your home is hard. And I was in Los Angeles last week to provide pro bono legal aid to fire victims. And, the folks that we supported were black, white, Latino, undocumented, documented. They were all human beings, and they all deserve the same dignity that every person deserves. And those of you who have been afflicted by these horrific fires, I think you may appreciate more than anyone else how much it sucks, how horrible it is to lose your home and everything you've lived and worked for no wrongdoing of your own whatsoever. And I just want you to have that same empathy for the 2 million plus Palestinians in Gaza who have had their entire lives decimated and destroyed for something that they had nothing to do with in the first place. And let that empathy for humanity carry you to demand a sense of justice, because that's how we move forward as a society.
I mean, and having a sovereign nation means you control your own borders, your water, your electricity, your aid.
Yes.
And I feel like Israel and the United States have never authentically respected the sovereignty of Palestinians.
You're exactly right. And that's why they keep blocking UN resolutions. More than 100 countries have recognized the sovereignty of Palestine, but that's why they continue to block UN resolutions for Palestinian statehood. And, oftentimes people bring up the Camp David Accords under Bill Clinton back in, I think, 98 or 2000 or, whatever year that was. And people say, well, Palestinians got a great offer and they turned it down and this is what you get. What they continue to ignore is that even the Israeli foreign minister, Shlomo Ben Amin, admitted that if I had gotten that offer as a Palestinian, I would have rejected it outright. It was a terrible offer. And so when you have the people you're negotiating with admitting that we're not giving you a very good offer, it's just insincere, and you're exactly right. It's insincere, it's disingenuous, and it's destructive to global peace to blame Palestinians for this. We need a just arbiter. We have that in the UN that we've all signed on to, and the U.S. needs to stop using its veto power to block UN resolutions and start to enforce them and uphold them.
Qasim Rashid, thank you so much for joining me this morning.
Privileged to be here. Thank you for your work and advocacy.
Attorney Nana Jamfi joins me next for Inauguration Commiseration on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. President Biden was in South Carolina on his last full day in office to thank voters. He visited the Royal Missionary Baptist Church and attended an event at the International African American Museum with Representative James Clyburn. Mayor Karen Bass announced that rebuilding efforts will start once Southern California wildfires are contained. Bass spoke on Friday afternoon where she said she believes authorities are turning a corner on recovery efforts. Mayor Eric Adams announced that 35,000 New Yorkers are having their medical debt eliminated. This is part of an $80 million program to wipe out over $2 billion of medical debt for 500,000 residents, focusing on the uninsured and low-income households. And Nelly is set to perform at the Liberty Ball on Inauguration Day. The Liberty Ball will take place after the swearing-in of President-elect Donald Trump today. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Shop limited-time deals during Lowe's Pro Savings Days. Get a free adjustable stand when you buy a DeWalt 12-inch miter saw. That's a $229 value. Valid 1/13 through 1/24 while supplies last.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The road to the Super Bowl for the Rams ended in Philadelphia. The Eagles hung on for a 28-22 win.